All right, let's talk about making some money. So, the stations, if you haven't been there, are a beautiful place to make some adalas. Um, and yeah, we're just gonna walk through getting down there, doing that, and this is through acquisition missions. I haven't went and tested everything else out, but you can get really rich on them. Give you some music first though. Button one. There we go. So, first things first, obviously, you need to figure out where the station is at. There's an interesting thing to mention when I do this here. If you haven't set it up yet, setting up your ships with kind of like a safe system so that they automatically turn their engines, gyros off, and turn on their hydro, refill, and all that stuff is a good idea. So that they're sitting there safe on the dock, but then the minute it gets disconnected, they don't just go drifting, but they won't do any weird flopping ever. So you can just leave dampeners on and all that. So finding where the station is, we'll discuss that as I'm drifting in here, but first it's worth discussing just a warp drive setup here. What we've done is set it up so that there's 4 separate little banks here of warp drives, because there's 4 jumps in my loop to the 2 stations and back home. So for me, I turn on the first and last one and then make the jump out to the first spot, CLHS orbital. And for me, it's a parking spot. It's about 7 kilometers away from the actual base. And then, let's get here first. Our modus operandi here would be that we convert ourselves to a station. We proceed to turn on the safe zone on the ship, and then get into our smaller vessel, which, well, I don't know why, but I like a truck in space. It's the space truck. And let's do it right. Let's turn on our lights, at least these ones, right? And then when we disconnect this ship, it does something cool. You'll have to listen, though. Here we go, ready? That's a hydrogen engine that starts up when we do the disconnect. And it does happen to be behind the grill right on the front end of the truck. Okay, let's turn on the rest of our lights here. Wow, no. Wow, and wow. Okay, so we are now drifting in toward the station there, and we're going to talk about how to get the station location if you don't have that. Under the seat, I guess is what I would call in the drop pods when you first start the game, there is a data pad under the seat. So what you would want to do is do a moon or earth drop pods, possibly make it a little quicker. I don't really know, but at least do a drop pod, and you can respawn to a drop pod if you didn't know this. A few different ways. You can make a timer that turns off your survival kit and then turns it back on, like, 5 minutes later or something, so that you don't have a spawn point, and at that point it'll give you drop options, or just respawn a couple of times, and then your spawn point kind of has to do a cooldown, so you'll have a period of time where it'll put you into drop pods. But start looking at the data pads under there until you find the locations of, I'm finding CLSH and what is the other one, MTHI or something like that. Those are the orbital ones that I've found, both of them right next to Earth on opposite sides. So that's how you would get the locations, and from what I understand, I think they're, or just ask on your server, but I think they're kind of randomly placed on the server, so you don't just know where they are, you have to find them on the data pad. So here we go. These are, of course, safe zones. The joy being that you don't actually get hurt inside of them, so you don't have to be really careful about how you choose to approach it or anything like that. The bases are lined up with the planet, so if you put your bottom to the planet, you'll find yourself, pretty well aligned with the base you see here. And, if you took the time to make a space truck, then you'll find CLHS to be just the most, wonderful little place in the world. Because it's got a garage that you can just kind of roll into. If you don't have parking brakes on, you press the wheels, go to the ground, you can roll. exactly why I gave it a bottom connector, just because it looks so cool. Parked in the garage. And of course, when we connect those same things that happened on the other end, going opposite, so now you'll see everything turns back off. Phew. Alright, once you're in the safe zone, obviously you can't hurt blocks, nothing can hurt you, you know, nobody can hurt your ship, you can't hurt anybody else's ship, you can't even shoot a gun, can't grind, can't nothing. So, acquisition contracts, as you can see here, 9,361,000 for 80 platinum. We're definitely going to take that on, and yeah, that's the only one that I currently have. Here, let's just see, do I happen to have the platinum? Oh, hey. Wow, look at that. I just happened to have the platinum. Oh, you know why? Probably because platinum was what the other contract wanted. Yeah. Alright. Well, now you saw the pickup and the turn in there. And of course, I still have a platinum contract outstanding, but it's over at the other station. And then the real reason that we are ever looking into these is right there, zone chips. Every time we come here, we just basically buy all the zone chips that they're selling. Sometimes it's fun to grab some of the other stuff. I don't happen to have a gun on me right now, so if they're selling the rifle as well as the clips for it, then yes, I will go ahead and just fill up on MR3DE there so that I've got some armament available that I cannot use in this place. Alright. And that, for me at least, is basically the size of these trips. If there's nothing up there and I've got something else to do, sometimes I'll go chill around the house or do something else for 10 or 15, because that will, you know, oftentimes yield other missions or other zone chips available if none were available. So, there we go. Space truck away! And then what is worth showing here as well between them is just the whole setup for how we kind of jump out here and make a trip, because, you know, 2400 it looks like from home. Oh no, now you can all find me. You know that I'm only 2400 away from Earth in that direction right there, so now everybody's going to be at my base, right? No, I didn't tell you I'm on official server 3, so nobody will show up. No, I just told you, now everybody's going to be at my base. You can triangulate from the stars that you see out there in front of us, right? Or if, you know, that asteroid down there looks familiar to anybody, then now you're going to know right where I live, basically. Only 2465 away from that asteroid in that direction. Easy to find. Oh, I never turned on the floodlights or the headlights. I'm glad a space state trooper didn't catch me space trucking without my headlights on. But it's never nighttime here, so I suppose in space, unless, what, in the shadow of an object, I guess I should not have to actually travel with my headlights or marker lights on. Okay, let's see. I think it only takes this craft 500 meters to slow down. 600, 500. Oh yeah. Could have done it in 4. Obviously, one of the joys of the safe zone is you don't really have to be too careful. You can just nothing hurts, nothing breaks, can't burn blocks, can't hurt yourself. You can collision at anything as hard as you want, so you can fly around like a fool and never get hurt in your safe zone. And as you just saw, the zone ships are super cheap. The missions for even just a little bit of these things that you can make pretty easily if you're living out in space at all, they're just insane. I cannot buy enough zone ships to take it up. You saw I got like $200 and some million, $218 million in my account there, which comes in handy at the next station. The one other reason we consider this useful. Okay, so for us here, we turn off the zone first, convert to ship, and then go through the jump things. So now we want the first one and the last one off, So now it's just second jump, which is to the orbit base jump between waypoint, it appears, is what this is called for this. And for me, it's about 380 kilometers out, just enough of a spot where I can get from my parking spot at this base to my parking spot at the other. But now I simply turn off the one on this bank, go to the next bank, turn it on, and here we go, jumping to MTHI orbital parking. And then MTHI is the one that says ships. If anybody was looking into that as the reason for going in here and trying to get money, then this is the base that you'll be looking to for ships. Again, just pop yourself in drop pods repeatedly until you get the location. And then, boom, out we go, in we go, start her up. And since I already turned in that platinum at the last one, obviously here I'm just going to be, you know, basically picking up missions, because I'm sure I don't have any spare platinum sitting on this ship. It's so little that if I load up much extra, it performs very differently. And let's never forget to turn on the lights. I suggest always setting your lights as like 4 or 5 different buttons so that they go on and off, you know, kind of in a sequence based on what, I guess, order you press them or something. And the brake lights never turn off. That's the only rule in space trucking, I think, is your brake lights are always on. You always want to know where the back end of somebody's vehicle is. Alright. So, 400-ish, right? Not quite. Alright. Again, gotta love the safe zones. You don't really have to be careful, but I usually do drive it very carefully because I enjoy this pretend space trucking thing or whatever. I find these ones a little harder to dock on the bottom with, and I refuse to make like a taller bottom dock just for this. Okay, I actually did alright this time. There we go. That's like 7/10 of the fun for me, is continually turning space truck on and off. And of course, sometimes it's just smart to look at the vending machine because then you'll know right away if there's zone ships. But med kits, power kits, clang, colas, all the other whatevers. And I really just find this base to be so annoying compared to the other one. Did you hear that? I felt like I hurt myself by hitting my crotch into the pole back there. I'm pretty sure it's going to tell me I don't have enough. Yeah. Used up my platinum. And here we're just seeing a couple of sad ones. I don't fool with them if they're just low price, and some of these are just for the ore. I never have any of that. It's all processed. So at times, if I'm sitting here bored, you know, I will just sit at the base for like 10 minutes or something. You know, wait for the mission to do something different. But nope, in this case, we're just gonna get it moving. Here we go. Yeah. I'd say if anything about your build makes you laugh a little, or you know, giggle with glee, or do the little evil maniac whatever thing, or react emotionally in some way, shape, or form, then that is exactly what you should have built. That would be my design logic. Speaking of, if anybody has any great interest in Space Truck here, I could put the blueprint up on the thing. Nice little small gritter for a mere 5,000 PCU. 4 modular cargoes, you know, heavy on the DLC, so if you don't have almost every DLC, I don't have Frostbite or a style pack or signals, I think, but any and or all of the other DLCs are probably used in it. Alright, so 450 meters seems to be about what I need. Safe zone that it does away with some of the need for, like, you know, complicated whatever's automatic docking sequences. I had a projected docking guide at one point. I'll take this any day. See this? From inside the safe zone, of course, you can shoot if you have it set up so that shooting is allowed, and that means that you can damage things outside. And usually I wouldn't field small grid railgun turrets with no real armor on them or anything, but nothing can shoot inside, so these are just, yeah, come near the safe zone if you want to, guns. About 1,000 ammo on board, so if you can take 1,000 small railgun shots, then you deserve to wait out however many zone ships I might have. Alright, again for us, off with the thing. To the ship, and then for the last jump, it's again just the first and last of the things for those. So. There it goes. Jump over. Okay, seems like when I convert out of a safe zone and back to a ship, I get an ability to maneuver the ship gyroscopically for a moment. And as we were saying, safe zones. I mean, I could ram this ship right up against my base like it was nothing when I do the redock here. But I generally would say I'm a little more wild with it. I don't worry quite as much, but I still treat it with some level of respect. And, you know, fly past the base 100 meters because I don't have much down thrust, to be quite honest. But one of the biggest tricks that I have found here for making this a little bit easier is the docking camera. Just give yourself a camera over there right above your docking thing. Tilt it down so that it's nice and even here, with it basically pointing at the block, you know, right above your dock. And bring it on in, it's going to connect at the end, bam. Easy as pie. So I hope that helped. And yeah, let me know if you want some blueprint.